Welcome to Church for Skeptics. This is a short video. I want to talk about sort of a lament. I'm after Darwinism, evolution, you might say. Everybody needs a little evolution, of course, change over time. But I think the idea of neo-Darwinism is kind of going, haywire. I've got a magazine here I want to show you. It's actually, the magazine is called Salvo. I take this magazine, I recommend it. Hold it up here for you like that. There's a book review at the end of it. It's called A Definite Farewell. The name of the book is Taking Leave of Darwin. And the guy that wrote this book is not a believer. He started and ended as a non-theist, he says. But at the end of it, he says, quote, we ought to have to consider the possibility of the God hypothesis. He's actually a professor at the University of Durham, England. And he specializes in language, logic, and rhetoric. He's not a scientist, okay? So, give him, I guess, deduct some points if you want for that. But as he did the whole idea of logic and Darwinism from the beginning until now, he finds it very much wanting. I just recommend the book. It's not a Christian. He's not a Christian. So if you are put off by being a Christian and writing a book, or putting off by me, putting off by me. But anyway, I'd recommend the book for you. What I want to talk about is the new consensus. Darwinism, of course, is the giant. It's the Goliath. So I realize when I'm speaking against Darwinism, here's what I think. I'm just going to tell you what I think. I think Darwinism is the no God hypothesis. This guy talks about the God hypothesis. Other critics and atheists have used that word. Some would even say, I don't have any need for the God hypothesis. Some would say the God hypothesis has failed. Well, I think Darwinism is the no God hypothesis. In other words, we've got to come up with something to replace creation. I think creation is by far the best inference, the best explanation for the data. Even non-Christians agree that the universe came into existence from nothing. P.C.W. Davies, one of the Big Bang proponents, says that he's not talking about pre-existing matter that got organized into the Big Bang in the universe itself. We're talking about all space and all time and all matter and all physical energy springing into existence from literally nothing. Now the problem with that is it's impossible. From nothing, nothing comes. My point here again is that Darwinism, the idea that everything came from nothing times chance times time, just add enough time to it, and we get everything. I just don't think that's plausible. I don't even think it's possible. But what we're going to talk about in just a few minutes here is the springboard from that. Because you see, the odds don't, the mathematics don't add up. The odds don't add up. We cannot have something from nothing. We cannot have life from non-life. We can't have an anthropic principle, the principle of life in this universe. So here's what's happened. The new consensus, the additions to the Darwinian no God theory, I think, number one will be the multiverse. There's no evidence for it. It's an idea that maybe we increase the odds of the anthropic principle. In other words, all the constants, all the scientific laws, all the natural laws have to line up on a razor's edge for us to have life here. Well, how can you explain that by pure chance? You can't. But if you increase the odds by a multiverse, maybe there are an infinite, which is impossible, of course. You can't actualize infinity. But let's say there's lots and lots and lots of universes out there, then maybe we've increased the odds. Maybe one of those would be ours. And so there is a possibility of light. Now, there's no evidence for that. My point is there's a desperateness among the no God hypotheses, neo-Darwinism crowd. We've got to explain this somehow. but we can't explain it by God. We will not explain it by God. We will not have this God to rule over us. And so now we've come to the multiverse. Really? That's where we've come to, but it's even gotten worse than that. How do you explain the origin of life from non-life? Well, they don't. The new consensus, and it's growing, it's not by far maybe the total consensus here, but it's the new consensus because everybody's talking about it. It's called panspermia. Panspermia is the idea that life was seeded here on this planet from bacterial molecules, living molecules that crashed into us. Maybe, I don't think they're talking about aliens necessarily seeding it, but some might. The point is this: number one, there's absolutely no evidence for that. You can make an algorithm for it, anything, but there's no evidence for it. It's a desperate move to try to broaden the consensus from Darwinism. We get everything from nothing to, well, maybe we got life from life elsewhere. But that doesn't do anything to solve the problem. It just kicks the can further down the road. Where did that life come from? There's a simple principle called biogenesis. Life only comes from life. So I want you to think about these things. I encourage you. I know that I'm a drop in the bucket here, expressing dissent from Darwin, but one by one, I'll give you the book again. It's called Taking Leave of Darwin. Neil Thomas is the philosopher, professor at the University of Durham, England, who did a lot of work to write this book and comes out saying it's just not possible for Darwin to exist. By the way, the best philosopher, I think, atheist philosopher in the world was Anthony Flew, who came to believe that God did exist. I don't know that he became a Christian, but he did become a theist because the evidence is so overwhelming that we have to have an intelligent design behind our universe. So I realize this kicks up a dust storm in some places, but I just wanted to put it out there, and we'll do some more things later. Thanks for watching.